Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 25, Concepts of Difference and Inequality. And our topic is the debate. Kingsley Davies and the Welbert Murray discussed the issues of functional necessity of stratification, determinants of positional rank, societal functions, and stratification and variation in stratified system at length. They explained that unequal distribution of rights and prerequisites making for social inequality provides the motivation to people to perform duties associated with a given position and to achieve position that affords much prestige and esteem. Social inequalities therefore ensures that the most important positions are consistently filled by the most qualified persons. Hence, every society, no matter how simple or complex, must differentiate persons in terms of both prestige or esteem, and must therefore possess a certain amount of institutionalized inequalities. The positions that carry the best reward and highest rank are those that are excessively important for society and require greatest training or talent. They clarify that in effect a society needs to accord sufficient reward to position of a high rank only to ensure that they are filled competently. It may also be understood that a position important in one society may not be equally important in another one. Tumin summarizes the central argument advanced by the Davies and the Murray in sequential propositions stated in the following words. Certain positions in any society are functionally more important than others and require special skills for their performance. Only a certain number of individuals in any society have the talents which can be trained into skills appropriate to these positions. The conversion of talents into skills involves a training period during which sacrifices of one kind or another are made by those undergoing the training. In order to induce the talented persons to undergo these sacrifices and acquire the training, their future position may carry an inducement value in the form of differential that privileged and disproportionate access to the scarce and desired rewards which the society has to offer. These scarce and desired goals consist of the rights and prerequisites attached to or built into the positions, and can be classified into those things which contribute to sustenance and comfort, humor or diversion, self-respect and expansion. This differential access to the basic rewards of the society has a consequence, that is the differentiation of the prestige and esteem which the various strata acquire. Therefore, social inequality among different strata in the amounts of scarce and desired goods and the amounts of prestige and esteem which they receive is both positively functional or inevitable in any society. Tumin argues that at the outset, it is not proper to treat certain positions as functionally more important than others. For example, it is not appropriate to judge that the engineers in a factory are functionally more important because of special skills than unskilled workmen. Surely, some labor force of unskilled workmen is an important and indispensable to the functioning of the factory as some labor force of engineers. Furthermore, relative indispensability and replaceability of a set of skills among a people largely depends upon the bargaining power of those who possess it. This power depends on the prevalent system of rating. Motivation is determined by several factors, out of which rewards and other inducements are only some. There is also a likelihood that a system of norms concerning withdrawal of services, except under most extreme circumstances, would be considered as absolute moral anathema. In such a situation, the notion of the relative functionality proposed by Davies and Murray would have to be substantially revised. The second proposition regarding the range of talent and the presence of limited number of individuals with talents is contested by Tumin on the ground that in any society there is no adequate knowledge to determine and judge the amount of talent present in society. He explains that societies that are rigidly stratified are less likely to be able to discover new facts about the talent of its members. Smoothly working and stable systems of stratification tend to build in obstacles to the further exploration of the range of available talent. This is especially true in those societies where the opportunity to discover talent in any one generation varied with the differential resources of the parent generation. If the differential rewards and opportunities are socially inherited by the subsequent generation, then the discovery of talents in the next generation becomes particularly difficult. More importantly, motivation depends on distribution of rewards in the previous generation. This means that unequal distinction motivation in a generation is because of unequal distribution of rewards in the preceding generation. Access to privileged position is restricted by the elites in society. In the third proposition, Davies and Murray introduced the concept of sacrifice, which Tumin states is the least critically thought out concept in the repertoire and can also be shown to be least supported by actual facts. He challenges the prevalence of sacrifice by talented people undergoing training, since it involves losses that arise out surrender of earning power and cost of the training. One of the basic issues here is the presumption that the training period in a system is essentially sacrificed. This is not always true because the cost involved in training people may be borne by the society at large. And this happens, the need to compensate someone in terms of differential rewards when the skilled positions are stuffed become redundant as much as the need is stratify social position on these grounds. Tumin argues that even if the training program is sacrificed and the talent in society is rare, the proposition of Davis and Morris suggesting differential access to desired rewards does not hold. The allocation of differential rewards is scarce and desired goods and services as the only for the most efficient was of inviting appropriate talent for to their position is itself questionable. The joy in work satisfaction, institutionalized social duty, or social service also provide motivation for the most functionally important positions. This aspect has been overlooked by Davis and Murray. In the fifth and sixth proposition, Davis and Murray classify rewards into three categories: those that contribute to sustenance and comfort, those that contribute to humor and diversion, and those that contribute to self-respect and ego expansion. He draws correspondence between differentiation of prestige and esteem, which various strata acquire, and recognizes stratification as institutionalized social inequality. Tumin questions the allocation of equal amount of the three kinds of rewards for effective functioning of the stratification system. Could one type of reward not be emphasized to an extent that the others are neglected? He says that it is not possible to determine whether one type of reward or all three of them induced motivation. Societies emphasize different kinds of rewards in order to maintain balance between responsibility and record. Again, the differentiation in prestige between conformist or the deviation does not equate with distinction between strata of individuals, each of which operates within the normative order and is composed of adults. The seventh proposition of Davis and Murray focuses on social inequality among different strata in terms of scarce and desired goods, as also the amount of prestige and esteem they incur. These are positively functional and inevitable in society. Tumin writes, if such differential power and property are viewed by all as commensurate with the differential responsibilities, and if they are culturally defined as resources and not as rewards, then no differential in prestige and esteem need to follow. Davis in turn asserts that Tumin seeks to demolish the concept of institutionalized inequality. He offers no explanation of the universality of stratified inequalities, while the interest of Davis and Murray lay in understanding why stratification exists in society. Tumin argues that the stratification does not have to be. Evidently, they are addressing different issues. Further, Davis alleges that Tumin's critique suffers from confusion about abstract or theoretical reasoning with raw empirical generalization. He defends his own position by stating that the chief concern was with stratified inequality as a general property of social systems involving high degree of abstraction. Again, Tumin's critical appraisal of the theory proposed by Davis and Murray is based on only one article, conveniently ignoring other publications that answer several questions raised by him. His own understanding and presentation of Davis and Murray theory is inadequate. This, in fact, is why Tumin's concept of stratification is inconsistent. Murray too explicitly states that the Tumin has not defined social stratification clearly. This led him to wrongly assume that differential rewards and inequality of opportunity were the same thing. Tumin guards his position on several counts summarized in the following words. Of course, all institutional arrangements of any complexity are bound to be mixed in their instrumentality. It is the recognition of this mixture and the emphasized sensitivity to the undesired aspects which impels men to engage in purposeful social reform. In turn, social scientists have been traditionally concerned with the range of possible social arrangements and their consequences for human society. One is impelled to explore that range after probing deeply into whether a given arrangement is unavoidable and discovering that it is not. One is even more impelled to such exploration when it is discovered that the avoidable arrangement is probably less efficient than other possible means to the stated end. It was towards such further probing that I directed my original remarks. Now let us wind up the session and take rest. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the Self Learning Podcast.